Welcome back, guys, to another rendition. Sorry, it was really loud. I hit my desk of the insurance panel. Today is a special day. We finally got to do another video last week, and we put it out. And somebody said that they might want to come on and join us. I don't know when he's going to be here. Speaking of, there he is. He's connecting to the audio. Once his camera pops in, you're going to find out who it is. Long-term guest, Chris Smith.
Chris, hey.
How you doing, my friend?
I got the right login now.
Yeah.
We're good. Got to be the right person.
How the heck are you, dude?
Not bad. I'm just a little shifting technology around here.
Yeah.
Ready to chat.
That's awesome, dude. Your beard is looking extra manly.
Oh, really?
Last time you were on the insurance panel, it was like just coming in. I mean, I can't grow one, so I'm very jealous of your beard. So it's looking nice, man.
It's crazy. Chris has got a beard. Matt's shaved his head.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. I don't want to talk about that. But Chris Smith, welcome back to the insurance panel, my friend. We are super pumped. Nick texted me like an hour ago. I was like, hey, do you want Chris Smith? I was like, for sure. Absolutely. Been waiting for you to get on. So super pumped about it, man.
Yeah. What are we talking about?
Appointment setting.
Okay.
Basically, how to get your insurance business to the next level. Like, how do you go from 150, 120? Where would you say, guys, most agents are on a yearly basis? Like a decent, door knocker. Yeah, most final
expense agents are writing like $60,000 a year.
Yeah, $60,000 a year. But like, how do you go from like a 125 to 200? Appointment setting, right? Eventually you have to do something a little bit different. And I think that's appointment setting. Chris, I know you're a big door knocker, but Nick let me know that you have an appointment setter, right?
Yeah, I think I'm a converted appointment setter. I think if we rewind
Yes.
If we go back in the Wayback Machine on the internet a few years ago, and there was discussions on the forums about Nick saying, you should get an appointment setter. And I'm like, I like door knocking. And then I found that you get more appointments, you see more people, and you make more money.
Yeah, there's not actually a lot of debate in my mind. We've tried to have other people come on and do the door knocking perspective, and we just can't. We cannot find anybody to come on. Not that they don't exist, but we have not been able to find anybody who wants to come on the show who is a long-term door knocker and a serious producer.
Yeah, we haven't found anybody as good as door knocking as you, Chris, that is able to handle the conversation of which is better. Like at least with Nick, it was like there was some kind of a debate, but there hasn't been anybody. We wanted to do a 2.0 of it, but nobody but you could handle that conversation because you're one of the best door knockers there is. But we're glad that appointment setting is going good for you. I think it's definitely the way to do it.
I think that door knocking is an important skill set, and I think it's a viable strategy, but I think there's probably a cap on how much you can produce simply by door knocking. And I think that you'll spend more time door knocking per week than you would appointment setting, but it's all kind of comes back to what's your confidence level, and also be open-minded to trying other techniques,
Sure.
I would agree with that. I mean, I think if you don't know how to door knock, you're missing an important skill set. I think you're 100% right. Like everybody should have the ability to go out and knock on somebody's door and get in their house and close the sale.
Right. Because Chris, if one or two of your appointments zeroes out on you and you don't have anybody to go see, you can probably pull your stack of leads and go door knock around the area and have no problem doing it because you've developed that skill. And at any point in time, you could do a door knock if you want to. Right?
Yeah, I think door knocking is a skill set that could come up in an appointment. You have an appointment, but they give you an objection at the door. You have to use the door knocking approach to overcome, even though they knew you were coming.
Right. Yeah, it happens. I mean, that happens all the time. I showed up to somebody's house on Monday, and I knocked on their door. We had a scheduled appointment. I'm like, hey, I'm here for the appointment. And they're like, no, wait a second. What is this all about anyway? And they let me in. They bought a policy. It all worked out. But I think feeling that having an appointment is the same as making a sale is, for some people, it's almost as wrongheaded as the people who feel like just because you have a lead, they should just be a lay down when you get to the door. You know, just because you've set the appointment doesn't mean that they're going to give you no trouble when you get there. You're going to have people that say, hey, you said you were coming by, but I didn't know why you were coming by. And, you know, I don't really want to talk to you right now. I'm not feeling great. We set this appointment. I was taking a nap. I'm going to go back to taking a nap. I know we had, you know, we set this appointment, but we can't do that right now. You know? And you can't let that be a deterrent, you know?
No. I know, Chris, recently you were in Louisiana and you did like a final expense blitz. And I think you wrote like 40, like 30, 20 grand.
20 grand on 31 applications.
Wow. And you were in Homa?
All over, really. It was Homa, Thibodeau, Morgan City, Lockport, someplace that I absolutely had no idea where I was.
Nice.
It was absolutely different kind of people, but it was an experience that was fueled by appointment setting.
Exactly right. And that was over, what, a 3 or 4 day period?
4 days. It was about 60, 65 leads. I called the appointment setter, or I texted her. I'm like, we're going on a trip together. Here's your bonuses. You know, you hit X amount of appointments. It's an extra $50 per threshold. You have a lot of leads. I have 4 days. I don't want to see a single opening on my schedule. And she went to town. I went to work, and we came out 20 grand richer.
Nice.
That's incredible.
Nice. How many appointments did you run during that time period?
It was really an anomaly too. I think there was only 1 or 2 stand-ups.
Nice.
Maybe 1 or 2 no sales. And it was just a confluence of their age leads as well. So age leads are some of the best because they're in that 6 to 9 month threshold where people garbage before, and you're able to put them in better situations. Or they had a need, went and bought direct to consumer. You come out and show them something better. Sometimes those are even better than fresh leads.
Sometimes, yeah, absolutely. Especially if they're unworked aged leads. I don't know if you were working previously sold leads, but I have the impression that these were backstock leads from your lead company that you needed to just use.
Oh, they were inherited from an agent who wouldn't purchase them. But
that's what I meant. I was trying to be delicate.
They weren't worked in the sense that somebody from where he was at was worked. But again, we know that final expense clients are going to fill out multiple leads. So other agents have come by there before Chris and probably sold an inferior product, and it was just him knocking it out of the park every single time when we got up to that client, just saying, "Well, you were sold this. I can save you $400 a year and we're good to go." And it's just like boom, 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 right?
Yeah. And with appointment setting, this was literally as rural as I've seen it. Not like West Virginia rural, like, how y'all doing? Or like Georgia rural, like, here's my tea. It was like a different kind of rural, and you needed appointments because you couldn't have efficiently door knocked these people. I don't think, I could have efficiently door knocked Homa. I probably could have, doing a little bit over here in Thibodeau, but some of these appointments, most of these appointments were an hour and 10 minutes, 45 minutes apart. You would type it into the GPS and you're like, interesting, going on a field trip again.
Yeah.
Well, better be home.
Right. And that's the other thing for anybody who's out there who's being told you have to exclusively door knock. Sometimes the best areas to work are some of these, farm country areas. I always prefer to work places where people feel like life insurance is important. And for the most part, that means you're either in rural farm country or you're in very deep urban inner city. Not a ton of suburban stuff. There's a lot of weird conceptions about life insurance in the suburbs of America.
Someone told me Iowa was if you can get out in front of people in Iowa, you will have a client for life.
I know a guy that works out in Iowa. He kills it. He's absolutely murdering it out in Iowa. That being said, as far as I know, it's like final expense people are final expense people. It doesn't matter where you are in the country. They're all like, I talk to people in California that I'm friends with, or that my friend in Iowa, or all over Alabama, South Carolina, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
We all have the same stories about the same people. Like they're final expense people for a reason. We are targeting a specific demographic, but that demographic does live just as much in very rural America as they do in the deep inner city. It's probably easier to door knock if you're in an inner city area. I really like working some of the more urban areas. I know Chris works some very urban areas, bigger urban areas than I do. But you start getting out into farm country where, you're a good 2 miles from the next neighbor, let alone your next prospect. And door knocking just becomes untenable.
Yeah, that's where sometimes in South Carolina, where I used to work a lot, it was like that. And if you were door knocking, it was at least 20 minutes between each lead, and that's if you mapped it perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was door knocking during that time, I mean, I had to get real creative. That's when they would teach us, go to the door to the left, the door to the right, across the street, blah, 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 blah. And that's where I got really good at door knocking. But once you figure out appointment setting and learn it, Chris, I know you have your appointment setter. Did you train her, or was she kind of where you work with, do they have one and you kind of work closely with her?
She was already trained, but I also think, and I've preached and I have to stick to what I said, that you're always your best appointment setter.
Yes.
And you should hire yourself first. It's your leads, your money, and you're going to do a better job. And at a certain point, as your business grows, you're going to have to delegate out tasks. You have to hire people to do certain things. So if I was a simple single producer, I would do it myself, but I have too many other things going on, and she just helps me be more productive.
Yeah, appointment setting takes time. I completely agree that I don't think anybody should be hiring an appointment setter unless you are already consistently writing $4,000 a week. And are capable of buying probably more than 30 leads a week. I don't know how many leads you buy, but to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense to have an appointment setter for less than 30 leads a week, because it just doesn't take that much time to set appointments off of 20, 25 leads. You start trying to efficiently work 30, 35, 40, 45, whatever. I know that personally, I hit the point of diminishing returns after 25 leads. For me, 25 leads is the same as 40 leads because I just can't process them. I don't have enough hours in the day to process them. So that's the point for me, where if I was going to start buying a lot more leads, I'd probably hire an appointment setter.
So I want to switch gears here, just because we're still in a little bit of COVID, and I don't know how it is in PA right now. And Chris, Jersey, correct? Is it still a little bit weird in Jersey?
Well, what's interesting is over the course of the last few months since we kind of last talked, I worked Philly as my bread and butter.
Okay.
Philly with lockdown, Pennsylvania was a wreck. And at some point I said, I'm not going to keep selling over the phone and not doing well at it, both mentally and production-wise. So I went to New Jersey and worked, went to Delaware and worked, went to Maryland and worked, made the road trip to Louisiana. And the further you get from the urban centers, the less COVID's a conversation.
Yep.
I had one joking remark about a mask in 4 days in Louisiana. It comes up once every 3 to 4 hours in Philadelphia.
Yeah. Well, when people are closer together, it's a bigger concern, I mean, that makes sense. Especially when there are, you're in a hotspot type of a situation like Philadelphia. It does make sense that would be the case. But yeah,
where I was going with that is right now, like I have an appointment setter here in the office, and she's setting telesales appointments for later on today. We're generating Facebook leads, because maybe we'll all agree here, but direct mail leads for telesales doesn't really work.
It's more difficult.
Much more difficult. I mean, we went through the whole thing with you, Nick, where we were making a ton of videos, and it was like you were doing more and more on your Facebook leads to generate the same level not the same level, but to keep up with how many appointments you needed. But what I mean is she's able to set for the next day, if not the same day. So she's calling at 9. She's calling for 3 hours. Hey, I have an agent available at 12 o'clock to give you a call. Have y'all done any of that or tried any of that for telesales? I know, well, Chris, you're mostly in the field. How did telesales go for you in general?
I found that when the original first started, before we came out of the field for a month and change, I told the appointment setter, if they give you an objection, set a phone appointment. And none of those phone appointments were there when I called. And it was a very small sample size, so I'm not going to pass judgment on that. But I feel like if you're calling to sell over the phone and you get them on the phone, you can
do it then.
You know, if you have fronting the call, that's a little bit different. But I think in the end, the more volume you get, it all kind of averages out.
Okay. Makes sense. What else? Sorry, guys. There's a lot of people in my office. I don't know if you can hear everybody walking by. I put like a little I'm recording screen up, but
inconsiderate jerks.
I know. Just walk. And they're always like right in front of me. I'm like, I'm in the middle of something. But this
is the problem with working from an office.
It is very much the
never
problem
move to North Carolina.
I want to. The crap part about Wilmington, North Carolina, is I'm on the beach, so I can't go to the right of me. I can't go east because I can't sell in the ocean, so I can only go to the left of me. Right.
Or you.
And, well, yeah. But I definitely try to get out and see as many people as possible. But the Wilmington area is just such an odd area. Yeah. So I have to go out to like 3 hours out just to make it worth the while to the country where I'm used to selling. But let's go back to appointment setting. Chris, when you were door knocking, you were seeing how many people a week? About the same, like 15, 20 people a week? Do you see this?
I would say a good door knocking schedule is you should expect to work Monday to Friday. Mm-hmm. And if you hit your goal, you're welcome to take off afterwards. But you would expect to give 3 presentations a day, 3 times 5, somewhere around 15 to 20. You're just compressing that by doing it on an appointment schedule. So
are you able to now see, are you seeing the same amount of people, or are you using the extra time to see more people? Because I know Nick does it to compress his time frames to spend more time with his wife and kid. Mm-hmm. Right? Are you doing
I'm
the
lazy.
same
I don't
thing,
like
Chris?
to work.
Yeah.
You can see just as many people in less time, but again, you're going to need more leads. You have to devote time or hire someone to do it. So it's kind of a give and take.
That makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah, I think you're going to work harder in those days. You're going to want to set them hourly at some point when you get comfortable with that. And you can't, when I was door knocking and buying 15 leads a week and working 5 days, I was getting results off of that. But you couldn't expect to say, I'm going to take 15 leads and set appointments off of that. So you just have to change your business model up a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, so when you were door knocking, you were just doing 15 leads a week.
Yeah, but also in all fairness, they were all Philadelphia, so it was 15 over and over and over and over again for years and years at a time.
Got it. 15 so your stat grew over time.
Yeah.
Got it.
When I was traveling, because I couldn't go back to face-to-face in Pennsylvania, I would say I want no less than 30 in whatever area we're going to, because I know that's like that 25 to 35 is the magic number when you don't have years of inventory to work from.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. It does. If you're going to do appointment setting and you don't have the cash flow to be able to do 20, 25 leads a week, really you should, I don't know. I think everybody should be trying to get at least 20 leads a week. I think it's really, really hard, even if you're just door knocking, to only work with 15 or less. But
well, just like Chris said, even if you can only, let's say you can only afford 12 or 15 fresh leads a week, right? You can't get up to that 20, 25, 30. Go buy some aged leads and cut your teeth on those to supplement.
Yeah. There's aged leads and there's aged leads, the aged leads that Chris was working are a different type of thing than what most people are able to buy.
Sure.
A lot of what people buy as aged leads are leads that have been resold 2 and 3 times.
Sure.
That have been worked 2 or 3 times, that are 2 and 3 years old, and they're buying like 500 leads for like a $1 a lead.
Yeah. I've
I
seen
mean,
the 6 month and 9 month old leads that cost like usually like $5 a piece, and out of those, if you buy 50, there's no reason you can't set 12 to 15 appointments on that.
sure. Yeah. No, you're right. Um, I'm thinking more from the psychological perspective for the new agent. Like, I don't know. You got to either trade time or you got to trade
Sure.
trade money. You know,
Sure.
and spending time for a new agent psychologically is a lot harder than spending money. It can sometimes be harder to get yourself to spend the money, but you will have a harder time feeling successful. And if you do not feel successful, this job can be hard. This is not an easy job. Getting told no a lot, and you will get told no a lot as a new agent. Last week I only had a 60% close rate. Happens, you know. I had a 100% close rate this week. It balances out. But if last week was my first week, you know, 60% would actually be fairly okay if last week was my first week. But you know, you go out and you get told no like 5 or 6 times in a row on a Monday before you make your first sale. And you're like, well, crap, I got to plow through the rest of these 50 leads and get told no how many more times. And I don't even know what I'm doing. And
Right.
I don't know. I really strongly feel getting fresh leads, new leads, and spending a little bit more to start makes your path towards getting those initial sales easier.
Sure.
And if you start getting those sales, things start to click a little bit faster.
The momentum happens a lot easier. It happens. You get used to writing applications. You get used to all the crazy things that happens in a house where Miss Jones can't find her furosemide bottle, and you got to find out that halfway through the application that she has furosemide, and things like that. Yeah, I agree. The quicker you can get a new agent to get through 100 sit downs, the better. The absolute better. Once you sit down with 100 people, you have gone through most things that'll happen in final expense.
And you're going to have an easier time doing that sort of thing if you're working
fresh
good leads. I mean, they don't need to be brand new. You know, I don't care how old a direct mail lead is. If it's a direct mail lead, that's my lead that hasn't been resold and stepped on a whole bunch.
Right.
But you know, somebody who's been who's been having an agent show up at their door every week for 6 months because they keep getting their lead resold. And then you're the 45th agent who's shown up. That's not a great lead.
No, of course not. No. JD said that he had leads, like he pulled it out of his drawer one time. He had leads from like 5 years ago, and he's like, I'll just call this tomorrow and just set my leads. No problem.
Yeah.
And so
when I'm calling for myself or another agent, I always like to have that little comfort zone of 30, 35, 40 names to call, no matter how old they are, because at least I'll kind of like set some of them to the side, like some of their age leads, and then I'll have the new leads there. And I mentally, as soon as I get a first appointment off of, you know, last week or last month or last year's leads, then I'll crack the book on the new leads. But I always think it's important, like what JD did, is to incorporate some of your age leads into your calls. Because there's also a little mental trick about, all right, this is a brand new lead. If I'm going to burn it, I just call some old crap and then set it and keep moving.
Well, and if they're exclusive to you leads that are never going to go away and you get to keep them forever and they're not going to get sold out from underneath you, like you're never going to burn that lead. Even if you call them and they say, no, screw you, and hang up, put it aside for a couple of weeks and call them back. They're not going to remember that you called them before. Go show up at their door and knock on their door the next day. They're not going to remember that you called them yesterday. Doesn't matter. Like it is almost impossible if you're setting appointments. It is almost impossible to burn a lead. They might remember you if you go back and door knock them multiple times. It is probably possible to burn leads door knocking. I don't know, but it is damn near impossible to burn a lead when you're doing appointment setting.
They've never seen you.
They've never seen you. They don't know who you are.
Nope. It's not like they're screening your calls. Like, man, this one call has called me 14 times over the last month. They don't remember that. They're never going to remember that. But if Chris shows up at their door 4 times or 5 times in 1 week and they kept telling him no, chances are he's probably burnt one of those leads doing that. Not saying there's anything wrong with door knocking, but if he called them 4 times over a week, they're not going to know unless they pick up. And then when he calls next week or next time he's in that area, they're not going to remember the one time that Chris called them and they said absolutely not.
Yeah.
It's never going to work. You said book on the hour every hour, Chris. You do the same, Nick?
Yeah.
I do the same as well. And what I've noticed is even if you're running late, it doesn't matter.
No.
I've ran 2 hours late to an appointment, and all I did is say, hey, Miss Jones, sorry. I ran late to this appointment, this appointment, so I'm here now. Let's go ahead and go over the information. You wouldn't believe what was wrong with their insurance. What do you mean? Well, that's what we're going to go over anyways.
Mm-hmm. It's just kind of a guideline.
Yep.
Like you have a set hour, and if they're not there, you actually hope that eventually because you can get back on schedule.
Right. At a certain point, you're running like 2.5 hours behind, and you get no showed, and you're like, thank God.
Yeah.
When you set them on the hour every hour, it causes you to be more refined and strategic with the presentation.
Yep.
It causes you to decide if this is someone you're going to sink your teeth into or walk away from. You know, when I'm door knocking, and this is the first person I've gotten in front of, and now it's 2:30 in the afternoon, I might be there longer than I need to and still end up with nothing. But if this is the 2 o'clock and I've got 2, 4, 5, 6, and 7, you know, all right, so you're not going to have a conversation. We can't even warm up together. Bye.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Just walk
Absolutely.
out. It's no big deal.
Yeah. Now I've seen my younger brother do it. We set his appointments for him. Well, he pays for it, but he has an appointment setter here in the office, and he finally got to the point where he was like, Matt, this lady was just messing around. So I just told her, he's like, I packed my stuff up. I didn't say anything and just left. I'm like, good on you, brother. Cause most agents wouldn't do that, especially when I was door knocking. Just like Chris said, I'd go sometimes 11, 12, 1, 2, 4 o'clock, and you finally get into a house. Finally, I mean, nobody would be home. Because again, remember, I'm door knocking in the rural South Carolina, going 20 minutes one way, and I would take 10 or 12 leads a day and just circle around over and over and over. And finally, someone would be at the door, and I'd get in, and I'm like, I am not losing this sale. No matter what they tell me, I'm not going to leave this house until I have a sale. But if you've got 4 other appointments throughout the day, 5 other appointments down the day, and they start messing around, all right, Miss Jones, I'm going to quickly give you what I need, or I'm not going to even spend time with you. Just have a good day. We'll chat later. Yep.
Yeah. Your most precious commodity is your time. If you're doing this job well, not even like crazy successfully, but if you're doing this job well, you are making hundreds of dollars every hour.
Yes.
That you're in the field.
Yes.
It is crazy to burn your time on somebody that's a tire kicker that is a tire kicker. You know, somebody that is never gonna do anything. And when you're new, you maybe don't have the instincts to know, and you should probably not just walk away if you're a new agent. You know, take your swings, get your practice in, battle the objections. But at a certain point, you know, the time efficiency is so important. And that's, again, where it comes into, you're either going to spend actual money or you're going to spend time. And your time is just way more valuable than your actual dollars because you're going to make so much more.
I got a question. How much should somebody pay for their appointment?
I set my own. Mine are free. I spend about 2 hours a week setting appointments. So I guess I spend about $500 a week.
Okay.
10 to 15 is what I've seen, and I've seen people pay up to 20.
Mm-hmm.
But I think 10 to 15 is pretty fair.
Per sit, per show, no show.
Per sit. Like sat down with. But if it's a no-show, they're not going to pay for that. There's no point.
Mm-hmm. And would you be willing to trade a little bit of comp to get more leads, at least in the beginning, when we're talking about needing a lot of leads at appointments?
No.
Interesting.
I would not. No. I would say I think you are better off getting higher comp and paying more for your leads. You'll get it.
Yeah, I mean,
What if I'm on a shoestring budget though, and I can't but string together $400 a week, and I'm willing to commit to the business, but $400 a week's only going to get me 15 leads a week?
Can you afford to take out a credit card?
No, no, I'm
Like,
Yeah, I was gonna say because
you're in
back in the
bankruptcy.
yeah, I was gonna say back in the day, Chris. You suggested someone go get a 6 month credit card with whatever limit,
Yeah.
no fees, and that's how you got started in the business. So I wouldn't give up comp to do that. I would do something like that. But if you've got somebody who is, if you got an agent coming to you and they're absolutely broke, or a brand new person, or is this a new agent? Is this a new agent or an agent coming to you saying they're broke?
New agent clearly has a good sign of work ethic. Maybe they come out of a blue collar job. They're used to working 6 days a week. They have a license. They're willing to learn, but they have no capital to start or very little capital.
Okay, sorry, cut you off. Go ahead.
They can afford to spend $200, $300, $400 a week. I want them to appointment set, but that's only going to get them, 12, 15 leads a week. And I know their chances of success, door knocking or appointment setting, is terrible with that lower lead volume.
I, as the upline, would give them the comp, and just early on, if I really saw somebody in that, and I've done it before, just buy them. I would give them some age. I'd buy them a ton of age leads to cut their teeth, or I'd give them some age leads that like I've never seen, and say, here's some leads that I have never been able to get a hold of. Maybe you have a better shot. Here's how I would do it. But I wouldn't put the comp out of there.
Or, say, buy 15 leads a week for now, and your job is going to be harder for right now, but set appointments with as many as you can. And your job is, for every minute that you're not in an appointment, you're knocking on one of those other leads' doors, and you must get face-to-face with all 15 of them this week. And it's going to suck. It's going to be hard, but it'll get easier over time. If you trade more than about 10 points, like if you trade more than 10 points for leads, you're losing money.
Okay.
That's
why this stuff's fun, because I kind of agree and kind of disagree. And that's what we always did well together, is not all agree on something.
Yeah. Well, what do you think?
I think there's a give and take. There's a lot of successful agents that are on free lead programs, but success isn't as lucrative as our success, when you get down to the math of it. There's some agents, I was successful on a 70, 75, 80, 85, 90 at my original organization, but I was paying full price for leads. It wasn't really very fair. I think there needs to be some give and take, but I would agree that you shouldn't give everything to take leads. So yeah, every situation is a little bit different, but in the end, an agent should be getting 20, 25, 30, 35 leads a week to maximize their chance at appointment setting.
How long? I mean, let's say I would. I don't think that person should be on that lower comp for, reduced comp for free leads for any more than 2 weeks, in order to because once they do it for 2 weeks, and let's say they sell $4,000 a week, let's say they're on a 70 or 80% contract, just throwing the number out there, they should make enough money to go then drop all that new money into leads and then bump up their contract from there. Maybe 1 or 2 weeks tops. But if it's a long-term thing, I don't think it needs to be a long-term thing. I'm talking brand new agent who's really committed, like you said, like blue collar, just doesn't have the exact funds to do it. Like a subsidized lead program, is that kind of where you're at?
Yeah, I'm just kind of fleshing out what your thoughts are on that, because again, that appointment setting has a lot to do with how many leads you're calling. And if you're only calling 15 leads a week, you shouldn't be appointment setting.
Yeah. Let's get you 25 leads. Let's get you 30 leads for 3 weeks in a row. Get you 90 leads.
I mean, if you're only calling 15 leads, you definitely can't hire an appointment setter without question. I don't see any reason why you shouldn't call first. You just shouldn't be banking on making your whole week doing nothing but appointment setting.
Correct.
I don't see any reason why you couldn't sit down with 15 leads on a Saturday, book yourself a Monday with 5 or 6 appointments off of those 15 leads, And then, go run those appointments. Maybe you have 2 don't show. You've given 4 presentations, and then you go and door knock the rest of your leads, and still manage to give maybe another 2 presentations that Monday. Come out of Monday with 6 presentations. Call back through those 15 leads again, maybe book an appointment or 2, go and door knock, and get in front of the rest of your 15 leads, and come out of the end of the week with, having spent a lot of time door knocking, but you started off, loaded up your week at the beginning of the week with a bunch of presentations, got 6 presentations in on a Monday, go door knock the rest of your leads for an additional 6 presentations, and you're probably going to have sold 5-ish policies, maybe 6. 5-6 policies written around $4,000. I mean, it's not impossible. It's work. You got to work for it, but it's.
I think for a novice agent, that's a lot to expect from them. For an experienced top producer, I think that's optimal. But I'd be scared to death if I gave a new agent only 15 leads and expected them to get much of anything out of it.
Sure, that's a less than ideal plan. But if you've got somebody, like you said, who is willing to work for it, I mean, I go back to, I started with the first captive company I was with. They didn't give us leads at all, and we were expected to go give 15 presentations a week, and we had somebody every day checking in on us. How many presentations did you give today? And we were expected to write $3,000 every week, just walking up to strangers' houses and knocking on the door. It sucks. It's not the best way to do it, but it's not impossible. Like, it's definitely a doable thing. I would rather an agent try and take 20 leads. An extra 5 leads is not that much more money. It's a couple $100, but if you can find a way to borrow some money for a couple of weeks, in like 3 weeks, you're going to be cash flow positive.
Yeah. Again, from an upline standpoint, the majority of any overrides that, if say someone's brand new and they're coming in, like, I'll even give a perfect example. My younger brother, James, I have about a 20% override on him. Whatever he writes, whatever overrides I get, goes straight back into leads for him for the first 3 months.
Yeah.
Because I want to be successful. Now, you don't have to do that for every single agent. That's not what I'm saying. But you should definitely be taking some of that and reinvesting it and putting back into your agent force. Like, it's a long-term investment. If you have an agent that wants to work with you, it's a long-term investment. It's not like I need to be making money off those people immediately. That's just me I don't know. That's my thought process. You don't need to be turning hundreds of dollars of overrides a week on a person brand new. And if you are, put some back into them and let them know you appreciate them as a brand new agent. Prop them upon their feet. So I'll take a smaller override and I'll match them pretty much dollar for dollar what they're willing to put in on leads. If you've got $400, I'll match you. I'll match you half a dollar. I'll put another $200 into it for the week. Every week that you want to do it for 4 weeks. So that gets you $600 worth of leads, which should give you what you need.
I got one more spin on the comp question. If your commission level is between 70 to 80%, should you be paying your leads? Let's
say again.
If your comp is 70 to 80 on final expense products, should you be paying for your leads?
Definitely not full price. Probably not at all. Like, if you're taking a 70% contract, 75% contract, like that's a really low contract. That's giving up 40 points. You're giving up 40% of your possible commission on every sale if you're taking a 70% contract.
Yeah, I've seen agents. I mean, I've bought full price leads on 55% contract.
Yeah, sure. I mean, everybody knows, like, it happens.
Yeah, I mean, when Chris, when you started, I mean, your contract was around the similar or something like around there.
Yeah, my point in that is for those listening to this that don't really have a diversity of comp or haven't watched the 2 or 3 comp videos that are out there. If your commission level is that low and you're paying for your leads, there's something funny in the water.
Yeah. I mean, you got to figure out what you're getting for taking a 40 to 50 point hit.
Mhm.
Why are you giving up 40 to 50% of your pay? What are you getting for that 40 to 50% that you're handing away of every sale that you make?
Yeah.
If you're
It
not
all
leads, it's okay to talk about it. But if you're on that little lower rung of comp and you're paying for your lead, that's not okay, in my opinion.
No, I agree.
it all comes down to activity, and that's what appointments are about. How can you get in front of 15, 20, or in Chris's thing, 40 people a week?
40 people a day is a lot of people.
Yeah, 40 people a day. No, absolutely not. Now, when I was door knocking, it was like we had to hit like 30 or 40 doors a day.
Yeah.
To
me too.
To generate 4 or 5 presentations, and I'm talking like true door knocking. I'm not talking about door knocking a lead. I'm talking 10 age leads, which was I paid $7 for a name, an address, and an approximate age, and they ended up being like 6 years old. Some of the houses were like burned down. I was like, "This is the lead. This is $7. What is this?" And they were like, "Just go to the left or right." I'm like, "All right."
Yeah.
So I would have to, that's what they'd give me, like
work
10.
the T.
Yeah, work the T or the I formation, and it was, oh man, but you would still make it work. You'd still make it work. It all just comes down to activity. If someone's willing to work, I think, Chris, whether they do a subsidized lead program or they're paying full comp for leads, setting appointments, door knocking, it all just comes down to activity. How hard are you really willing to work? To answer your question, if someone's willing to work, you can put them to work. If they've got the work ethic, they're gonna do whatever it takes to get in front of the amount of people they need to get in front of for that week.
If you can give 12 presentations a week, every week, you will be successful in this industry. That's the only thing you need to do. Like, there is no magic to it. Like, if you can sit in front of 12 people and say, "This is how much it costs. Would you like to buy?" You'll be fine. Like, that's all you have to do.
Yep.
You'll make money.
Yeah. Chris, it's so good to have you on here again, my friend.
Can we talk about what you say, though, before we leave? I think that might be a little kicker at the end for people to stay tuned in.
Yeah, sure.
Say that one more time.
Can we talk about what you would say on the phone to set the appointment?
Sure. Yeah, we never really want to be a how-to, but it's, "Hey, Miss Jones, it's Matthew. How are you?" "I'm good. Good. I'm giving you a call back about the postcard you put back in the mail about the state-regulated final expense programs, about the state-regulated blah, 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 blah." Doesn't matter. Every script's a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
Great. What I say is, after they say, "Yep, I remember that." "Great. I'm going to be out that way tomorrow servicing some other people. I've got some time at 11 and 1 o'clock. Which one works better for you?" And that's it.
I think it's important to say the same thing over and over again, just like your presentation.
Yes.
People tell you no, be ready for people to tell you yes, have your crap organized, know what your appointments are for the day, do it in a logical pattern, and commit to a routine. Nick does really well. Is I could probably guess what he's doing on Tuesday, and I hadn't talked to him for a month, but I would know what he's doing on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I know what Nick's doing. I know what Nick's doing on Monday. I know what Nick's doing on Saturday between 9 and 11, and usually he's done by 10 o'clock. You've got your schedule down pat.
Yeah, well, and it gives me sanity, but it also makes it's like Einstein only had, one suit, but he had it like 20 times, so he never had to think about it. Like, the fewer things that you have to think about, the more energy you have for the things that are important. Your schedule shouldn't be something that you have to agonize over. It should be the same all the time so that you know what you're doing.
A typical working man or woman has the same schedule.
Yeah.
Every week. To go to work every day. They do the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
Now ours is a little bit different because we're driving out to see random people, but essentially our job is the same. But the most successful people, like Chris, like Nick, are scheduled. They don't just willy-nilly go out and do it whenever. Chris knows where he's going to be at all times. Nick, we're going to be at all times because you've scheduled yourself out. The most successful people in this business know exactly where they're going to be a week from now, 2 weeks from now, a month from now, right? Because we're already mailing for next month.
Yeah.
You've got to know where you're going to be a month from now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And as far as what you say to go set an appointment, I think if we were going to talk about tips as opposed to actual scripts, because you should have a script. You should have a script.
Yeah.
You should have a script coming from whoever you're working with, right? You should be following whatever path the organization that you're working with is laying out for you. Don't use my script if you're not going to do my everything else. You know, but for me, the best appointment setting scripts assume that they know what you're talking about.
Yep.
They assume that they want you to be there, and they are short. You know, like my script is really simple. It's, you know, hey Chris, you mailed that card about this is Nick Frumpkin with the Pennsylvania Senior Benefit Service. I was calling you because you'd mailed that card about the final expense programs you're eligible to receive into us. I'm your benefits coordinator in the area. I'm going to be out your way tomorrow. I just need to set aside a minute when I know you're home to get this to you. I was planning on coming by at 11. You home then?
No, I have a doctor's appointment.
Oh, great. I can be by after your doctor's appointment's done. When do you think you're going to be back?
4:00.
Cool. I've got an appointment at 5:30. I'll see you then.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks. Bye, Chris.
For those, hopefully someone was, if y'all are not watching this video and that's not, so y'all have better watch that back over and over. And I bet Chris is almost exactly the same, right?
Yeah.
Just be about like $100,000.
Y'all better watch that.
So man. Like, it's not, it shouldn't, but you shouldn't do what I'm doing, right?
No.
You should be doing what works for you. But it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be hard. Most people overthink it.
Yes.
Most people try too hard.
It's a problem too.
Yeah, well, but again, what most agents are doing when brand new agents are coming in, this is a good visual. They're thinking like each lead is like a $20 bill, and then each time that someone says no, they're just taking it and lighting it on fire, and that lead's gone. Right? You can't think of it that way. Why do you think that the casino gives you poker chips? Because they don't want you to know that you're using real money. They're going to give you 20 chips or whatever it is, 60 chips out of these. So you're just like, oh, here we go. If you work them like that, you're going to be so much more successful. Don't think that every time that someone tells you no over the phone that you're just burning money. You're not. You're going to make your sales. You're going to be able to set your appointments. Yeah. You're going to crush it. So
it's not that hard. It's
really not. Well, Chris, I for one loved having you on here again, man. Hopefully you'll return. Chris, it was absolutely wonderful having you back, man. I loved having you back on the insurance panel. Nick, pleasure as always, my friend. If you have any questions, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And Chris, can you do it for us one more time, your famous outro before we get out of here?
Absolutely. That's exceptionally important. Doing a guest appearance. This was really just three guys, one that lives kind of close, one that lives kind of far, from three different organizations talking about their opinions on the topic. We don't represent any one of these three organizations. It's just our wonderful thoughts on a Thursday afternoon.
Thanks again, guys. Y'all be good.